Show me the money. Cash, the secret ingredient behind every successful launch. What will you need money for after you launch your product or app? And how do you get that cash infusion that you need? Find out on today's show, so stay with us. Hi, everyone. I'm Tessa with Idea Pro's marketing team, and I am going to bring in our two guests in just a minute here, but I wanted to say hi. I know we have a lot of people already on the feed, so just going to take a second to say Sean, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you putting comments in ahead of time even. I know we had people in the room waiting. Hi, Greg. We have Jared, RJ, Kelly, Derek. Welcome, everyone. And I know you guys are already putting where you're watching us from. That is so cool. And so go ahead and put where you're watching us from. And throughout this whole episode, please, if you get a really cool nugget or takeaway from the show, please put it in the chat, in the comments, so that we can go back and highlight it. So your takeaway anytime. And then at the end, we'll ask for it again. So hi, Mary, Ben, Michael, Odin, Danny. I know we have Steve with the Eclipse sunblock system. I'm so glad you guys are all here and you're right on time. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. So again, we're going to cover the secret ingredient behind every successful launch, and that is money. So I'm going to bring Fred, who is co-founder and executive chairman of Idea Pros. And then our special guest is going to come in just a minute. I'm going to let Fred just give us a little bit of background and introduce our guest.
Well, hello. And this is going to be an interesting show because we get to the point where we are ready to do our launch.
Oh no. Hold on, Fred. We lost you for a second there. You're back now.
All right.
Well, try that again.
That's funny because I can't see anybody, but that's fine. I don't need to see. I've flown blind before. Oh, here I am. I can see myself. So it's an interesting show because this is where you put your pedal to the metal, as they say. You first do a launch. You're getting some momentum with pre-sales. You get enough to do your minimum order quantity, but you're growing a business. And there are several factors in taking a business and being so thrilled with that first minimum order. I've sold 500 units, I've sold 1,000 units. I'm really, really happy. To the what's next part of it. You have a business, and now that business needs to grow. Sometimes that business can grow just from the cash flow of your operations if you are really successful and you really go on a big ride upward very quickly. Oftentimes, you need access to capital, and access to capital can come in several forms. That's what we're going to talk about today. But first, I want you to see behind me and the dark room in the back where we usually have 20 people.
Everybody's gone.
The first day that we are having everybody work from home in an abundance of caution. Apparently everybody's worried about me because of my age. I think that they want to stay home to be lazy, so we have them all on video in another room so we can see what everybody's doing all around the world. So have no fear, we're working on your project. Anyway, there are several different ways to go out and raise money. We're going to talk about a few of them because we have a guest that I was able to invite in the last minute. We're going to start with crowdfunding. And I'm not even going to dig into the details of crowdfunding until after we speak with him. But he has a very, very unique business that basically funds crowdfunding. I haven't seen anything like it. They'll do up to about $100,000 to help with your crowdfunding events. Why don't we get Karim to come in? It's his company's Sprint.
Yes.
For crowdfunding.
Karim Vardanian. Did I say it right, Karim? Oh, he's not in yet. Here we go. Are you? Now you're in.
There you are.
Hey, everyone.
I think the system is running a little slow because everyone's on from home. Yeah. So this is Karim Vardanian, and he is fund manager at Sprint Crowdfunders Fund, right? So right. Sprint CF. Wonderful. Well, welcome to the show.
Hey, everyone.
So I was telling everybody that we're going to start with crowdfunding. And before I get into a lot of the details, I know your time is valuable. And so I wanted you to get on to tell people a little bit about programs that are available for folks that do decide to go to the crowdfunding route. And maybe you could give us a little bit more information of what you're looking for, what type of I know you won't work with anybody who's just crowdfunding on their own. Maybe if you can give us some kind of detail of how your process works.
Sure. Thanks for having me today. So basically, Sprint is an investment fund. We do specialize on crowdfunding sphere, and we provide budgets for marketing purposes. It is purely related to marketing, any kind of promotion, ad spend, paid media, and any kind of promotions. And no prototyping, no production, no celebrations. Only promotion. And the unique point with our fund is that we always work in a trilateral relationship between the crowdfunding agencies, the crowdfunding campaigners, and we also tie the fund into this relationship. And we fund the campaigns through the agencies we work with, which means that our provided funding should be professionally managed and spent by the crowdfunding agencies only.
So you will lend up to quite a large number to help with the marketing, right?
Right. So we have a cap per campaign, which is 100K, which is quite enough for boosting the campaigns. Why I say boosting, because our model includes some peculiarities when we can lend in and when we can start the funding process, which means that the campaign shall start on its own, gain the first momentum and hit the goal on Kickstarter or on Indiegogo. And starting from that point on, we can jump in and boost and keep the momentum up until the end of the campaign and to maximize the returns.
Perfect. And so to be clear, if you're going to do a crowdfunding through one of the approved agencies, you will set your initial target of the goal you're trying to hit. And once one of the folks hit that goal and have trajectory, that's when you step in?
Actually, no. With the goals, we trust the agencies. And with all the campaign strategy and overall campaign process, how it will start, how it will evolve, etc., we trust this part to the agencies. And as we work with all the big names in the industry, we trust them a lot. And whatever they said, and whatever they think they can achieve easily, like within a couple of hours and or maximum a day, which is the usual case for our campaigns, then we are jumping in.
So you're standing by, relying on those partners. You know, I think, and I told you offline that I think it's brilliant because after all, on your side, it's a safe investment in a sense because you're relying on the best of the best agencies. And folks, we're going to talk about that in a minute. For the inventor or entrepreneur, it's amazing because now you have that extra momentum that you need to build up your campaign and take advantage of the initial momentum you have. Now you have the financial bandwidth to kick kick it up to another level. So it's a great model, and you just get a percentage back on your money. It doesn't matter how much the campaign raises. You have a fixed amount that for every month that people are using your money, that you get a percentage back at the end of the campaign, I'm assuming.
Right. As soon as campaign money is paid by the platforms, by Kickstarter or Indiegogo, that's the due date for our payback. And we take our provided money back and plus some fee, some success fee on that. And it is usually 5% on a 30-day basis, which is prorated on a daily basis, which is like a simple prorata. We just divide 5 by 30 and multiply by actual days the money is out. So we don't use any complication and bank stuff, any compounding and other things. And one major thing I want to mention is the time. As the fund is called Sprint, we like this sprinter speed. And in order to keep the momentum, we have simplified all the processes so that we can land the campaigns and jump in by funding them as soon as possible. And the processes take like from couple of hours. Just yesterday, we had a funding which took exactly 5 hours.
Wow.
From the introduction to ending up with the signing the docs and sending the money out. And the maximum is like 1 to 2 days if there is some weekend is around or something happens there.
So I'm pretty lucky to have met you, basically.
I think it's mutual.
Well, thank you. We look forward to working with you and several of our campaigns going forward. I appreciate your time. I'm going to let you run off and go fund something else, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Karim. So,
all right, yeah. So hold on, give me a second. I'm going to do my magic back here. Okay. Now we can go.
Magic happens a little faster than that.
I know it does.
Okay.
Yes. So we talked about crowdfunding. I know you have some other areas that you want to go into as well.
Well, no, I want to.
No, you want to keep going on crowdfunding. Okay.
Well, because we've shown somebody how to, and I kind of took this out of order because, again, this guy's time is valuable. Just at the last minute, I got him to come on with us. He's in another time zone at the end of his day. But I just wanted to show people the resources. This wasn't available before, even just a year ago. These guys have been doing this for about a year. The great news is if you're going to work with them, then you're going to be fat and happy because they've done over 50 campaigns so far, and not one of them have they not gotten their money back. So they bet on winners, and those winners get determined by the relationship they have with their agencies. And so let's talk about a crowdfunding agency and how that works. There are several out there, some not so good. There's a few that are great, and we happen to be working with a couple of what I would call the great ones. In fact, Launch Boom is one of them, and they're the ones that made the introduction for us at Idea Pros to Karim and his group. So how does this work? How does crowdfunding work? Is it going to cost me anything? Yes, everything costs money. And if you try to do a crowdfunding event by yourself, number one, you don't have the ability to go find people like Karim's group that can lend you a lot of money once your project gets going on your campaign. But number two, you have practically zero chance of raising any capital in a crowdfunding campaign when you do it by yourself without the necessary tools. So, and this is statistic, 70% of crowdfunding campaigns don't raise a penny. The other 30%, the average is $10,000. So if you can imagine that I'm working with agencies that raise $200,000, $1 million, $500,000 over and over again, that average of $10,000 is a whole bunch of people that raised just a little bit of money and probably did not meet their goals, but try to do it on their own and couldn't. So next to trying to do it on your own, a company like Launch Boom is really cool because, and by the way, they're here in San Diego as well. Will is their head, and we've been speaking a lot about doing projects together. The way they do it is kind of a three-pronged process. What they do first is they validate. Just like we do at Idea Pros when we're validating a product in the first sense and making sure that there's a market for it and that we're positioned properly for it. Launch Boom does a similar thing. And for a fixed amount of money, and I won't go, it's below $10,000. I can't tell you the amount because I don't have permission from them. They will work with an entrepreneur and do a mini campaign. And that's a 60-day process. And in that 60-day process, they start building up an audience, getting a big email list, doing advertising materials, doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and really understand the market and how you fit into that marketplace. It basically validates what you have. At the end of that 60-day period, if everything looks good to them, then they will offer to work with you or with us if you're one of our partners. When that happens, there are budgets that need to be taken care of, and those budgets are bigger. You're looking at $30,000, $40,000 that includes some advertising budgets, and I'm going to show you how to get there. But if they say yes, it's a bigger deal, they can handle it, then you're off to the races, as I said, because Kareem's group will step in and be able to provide up to $100,000 in funding to pay for those campaigns. If their testing doesn't show that this is a product that they think they can go make $200,000-$300,000 from, they have their own system where it's almost a do-it-yourself crowdfunding, but it's using their structure. It's using all the ads that they placed. It's using the email list that they put together. It's using the same sort of strategies for you to build out that email list even further. And so you get a playbook line by line, how to do this yourself using all the tools that they've already put together. And the reason Will does that, and it's one of the reasons that I was very attracted to their organization, is because they don't want to take the money away from an entrepreneur just to make money to do a crowdfunding event that they don't think they can raise enough money to make it worth that entrepreneur's while. And I really respected that, and that's why we're working closely with them. But even though something won't raise enough money for that agency's purposes, typically in his groups that he's handed this over, typically the entrepreneurs made $50,000, $75,000, plenty of money for an entrepreneur to do their first product run and to get things moving and upward and onward. So it's a really great environment, and it's a really great way to get your product out there, either on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And they work with both of those. They're authorized firm for both of those entities. But it's something that's interesting to do if you have the right type of product, and the right type of product is something that basically there's going to be a big consumer demand for it. You know, it's not a fringe product, something that people will buy. And on Kickstarter, for example, they have a list of 18 million people on there that are there waiting for the next best thing. We have one of our guys, Jarek, he's already backed some 50 deals in this past year. So they're a really committed audience that really want to help entrepreneurs. But again, you got to pay to get in there. But if you have the right product set, it makes a lot of sense to look at.
Yeah, I wanted to stop you for just, well, one, you should probably take a breath. But I wanted to say was that if you're a partner that works with us, obviously talk to, you're going to get connected in with friends connections on these companies. If you are not one of the partners, I mean, obviously we put in the link for Sprint CF, and then I can put Launch Boom in there, Fred, for you. But again, the relationship through Idea Hub is a lot more advantageous for you to go through. So let us know if you have questions about that. And being a partner with us, of course, if you have questions about that, put that in the chat. But these shows are just, they're for everyone. So I just had to preface that. And I know we went through, we did do a show last week. If you guys didn't have a chance to watch the live from, well, 2 weeks ago, because we had to cancel one. But 2 weeks ago, we did a crowdfunding whole show about it. So if you haven't had a chance to review that, I will put that in the link as well, so that you can check it out. And we're just kind of stacking all these up. It's part of a bigger picture, which is what happens after you launch. So, and we have people over on YouTube watching us too. So thank you guys.
Well, YouTubers. So those are the typical crowdfunding groups, and if you want to work with a company like we just pointed out, I believe on their website they give a list of the agencies that they will work with. So you'll have to have a relationship with one of those agencies. Again, if you want help with Launch Boom, give us a call. In fact, write to us at, where do they write to us, Tessa? At marketing?
Yes, marketing@ideapros.com.
Yeah, let us know what you want, and we'll hook you up. So that's a regular crowdfunding campaign. There's others. There are equity crowdfunding groups. A company that like Fundable. Fundable will do crowdfunding that's kind of like you're doing your own mini equity raise, stock raise. It's pretty complicated to get there, and you have to have the right type of product. You're probably not going to do very well with the food or something like that. But it may be an alternative for some of the apps. If the apps are really fulfilling a big need and are deeply integrated in a vertical, that may be an opportunity for raising equity. They also do rewards based, so it's similar to like what a Kickstarter would do, but it's a little bit different. But that's kind of a strange animal. There's
And that
another
was Fundable,
Fundable.
correct? Fundable.
Yes.
Got it.
Fundable.
Perfect.
And there's another group called Circle Up, and they're circleup.com. Circle Up is really cool because they'll give you credit, and they'll also do an equity play with you. And you might want to go on their website, kick it around. Obviously, our time is limited. I can't go into that great of a detail with you, but it's something that is really, really cool. They'll work with food products. They'll work with really any kind of product up front. And if you scroll through there, you'll see that there are some brands that, surprisingly to me anyway, that I heard of, and they're almost household names now, and they helped them right at the very beginning when they were trying to launch. So when you're sitting here right at the start line and you're wondering what's going to happen, same people that are on Circle Up that are their examples, they were in that same boat. And so go there, check them out. That's another resource for you. There's a few others that are in that arena as well, but those are some really good choices.
And if you're not catching all this, I know we're putting the links in the chat, but if you want to catch all this on the blog post, we will put more detail behind each one of these resources.
You will?
Yes, I do all the time. So stay tuned. And that is ideapros.com/blog if you guys haven't been there in a while.
And so this is the last one I want to talk about, and it's actually really cool. And I have my poster child partner in this arena that I just love because she is really someone that you can see has that entrepreneurial spirit. She had zero money, young woman, working her butt off in her career. And she's had this dream of creating an app for natural birth. And we haven't launched it yet, so I don't really want to go into it any more than that. But her name is Brianna, and she lives in Florida. She was talking to one of our guys and really had no capital to contribute. And if you're a partner of ours, you know that we only work with entrepreneurs who want to bet on themselves too. It's really hard to bet on somebody that won't bet on themselves. It's not that smart of a deal, because people who do bet on themselves are people that are going to find a way to make it happen. And she's a great example. One of our guys was telling her about what I'm going to talk about now: zero interest, high limit credit cards. There are several different credit cards out there that for 12 months to, I think the biggest one I've seen is 24 months, but 12 to 18 months, you can find them pretty common, and they can lend you up to $100,000. The Chase Sapphire Preferred card, they will give you up to $100,000 limit, zero interest, and I think theirs is 18 months, right? So you're borrowing money for nothing. And so Brianna basically was given one of these links and promptly disappeared. And 4 months later, 4 months later, she called us up and she said, "Guess what? I got $50,000." And she got all her $50,000 at zero interest and invested in herself. And now we're just getting ready to launch. I think it's going to be a really awesome app, and I can't wait to see her succeed. So anyway, so the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card up to $100,000 limit. Capital One has a Capital One Ventures card. That's up to a $50,000 limit. Again, 0% interest. Any of these, you have to have halfway decent credit. No, Bill, I wasn't talking about you, but I do talk to you about you all the time. City Diamond Preferred, I think I think that's the one actually that Brianna got, and it's a $50,000 limit and 21 months, zero interest. So you're getting free money. You're betting on yourself. Next, Discover has a card. It's called Discover It, and theirs is up to a $25,000 limit, and I think they're 18 months. There's also Capital One Quicksilver, and Bank AmeriCard has an 18-month zero interest loan, and finally American Express has a Cash Magnet card, and they're 15 months with zero interest. And again, with those ones, with that American Express one, they will also do loans. American Express has a whole business unit that you can go in there and do a business loan. So that's the next thing I want to talk about. If Tessa, do you have any comments for me, or
I always do. No, you're fine. Actually, we had a lot of people were commenting while we were going through and listing those out. Again, guys, we'll have those on the blog. But no, I just wanted to mention that, ask you a question. Is there a difference between doing it as a personal loan versus business loan?
Yeah, you're not going to get a business loan, right? Because it's a brand new business. It has no assets. There's no revenue in it. And so, again, same thing as with me. If you're not betting on yourself, the bank's not going to bet on you. So all of these are going to require, unless, by the way, if you have another business, and if you have another business, you may even want to consider an SBA loan. SBA will lend you up to $5 million, really. And there's a few different factors. You have to have decent credit, again, just like with everybody else. But by the way, decent, I think for SBA is like credit score of 600, which is not really high. But you have to be in business at least 2 years. And that's why I said, if you have another business that is your main business and you want to use that to help you out with your entrepreneurial journey, you may want to consider that. So 2 years in business, some proof that you try to get a regular loan from your bank, but they wouldn't give you one, which if you go to your bank to get the SBA loan, they'll tell you you're not going to have that. And so that they can push you right through to the SBA loan. Those things take about 3 weeks or so. And another requirement is if you have any government loans, like student loans and things like that, you can't have any delinquencies on any of those. For-profit business, and that's about it. So there are a lot of alternatives. They're also the ones that we talk about all the time: a home equity loan, borrowing on your 401k. Those are things. As long as a corporation that you work for hasn't locked up your 401k with any kind of special rules, you can borrow up to 50% from yourself. You can borrow up to 50% from your 401k as long as you're paying yourself some minimal interest. So right now the minimal interest rate is about 0. I think that's what the Fed is going to reduce the loan rate to banks coming up here shortly. So as long as you're paying yourself a couple percentage points, and you can choose to pay yourself on some schedule, I think you have to pay it back within 5 years. But maybe once a year you make a payment back to yourself, put money back in your 401k. You're using it By the way, I'm still recovering from bronchitis. This is not Corona. And you're basically borrowing money from yourself and putting it to good use. Instead of saving it for your future, you're using it to create your future, which I think is always a good deal. There's no penalties, nothing. So that's another alternative. But the point is, when you're going to go in business, you got to be prepared to go in business. Some people, when they first start partnering with us, or even well before they partner with us, they start saving every single month. They start saving money so they can use it for advertising, for increased inventory, to be able to expand their offering, for all sorts of different reasons. So, but with any type of business, you need to have some capital available in some way. And these are some really great ways for you to consider doing so.
I think this is an amazing list. We did have a couple people that asked about some alternatives like angel investing and things like that. We do have some past shows that we've done that talk a little bit more about that. I don't think we have time to go into everyone's questions today, but thank you so much for putting the questions up.
I can answer.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of the questions, but I can probably answer a lot of them in one sentence. Angel invest. This may not be one sentence, because that was just a sentence. Angel investors are not going to, for the most part, look at you unless you really have some momentum. When you do your first launch, you will have some momentum, but the problem is it's going to take you 3, 4, 5 months to get angel investors to pony up. We do have one guy that managed to go out and raise $50,000 very, very early on from a couple of angels just last month. But that's a lot of hard work, and this guy would not take no from an answer. He really one of the last partners that I would have imagined was able to do this, because he's pretty shy, timid. English is not his first language, and he just went beating on doors and would not take no for an answer. So that is a vehicle that you can use. It takes quite a bit of time. The venture capital, they're not going to talk to you unless you have a team, a couple million in sales, real hockey stick trajectory, and typically in technology, although there are specialized firms that will do just about anything else. And Shark Tank, come on, guys.
Your odds are not so great. Well, I know we would love to hear from you guys about your takeaways. So if you have a second to put that in the chat, any big takeaways that you had, and thank you for saying that you love the show. Those are awesome too. And we will go back and check out any of the questions that we did miss. I know we're really over, and Fred hates when I go over. So I'm going to let you, I'm going to let you wrap up, Fred, if you want to close with the final thought, and then we'll see everyone again every Friday at noon, unless I fall down the stairs, in which case we have to cancel.
Yeah. Look, I think my final thoughts are, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in the product, the app, the idea that you have, then you're going to do whatever it takes to make that work. It will happen if you believe. It may not happen the first time, the second time, the fifth time. It's going to happen. And if you run into a roadblock, you turn around and go in the other direction and find the right way through. Being an entrepreneur is like running through a maze, exactly like running through a maze. And you need to be able to go the distance. So this show is all about having a little bit of capital that you can work with to help you with that momentum and help you knock down some of those walls in that maze to move forward. But don't let any roadblock stop you. Don't let anything discourage you. You are an entrepreneur. You have a great idea, and you're going to be successful. Just keep going at it.
It's perfect. It's perfect. So I love this comment. I have to put it up before I say goodbye.
Sure.
Steve's takeaway is that he needs more money. We also had Kristen, who said she's very grateful. Top quality information. We've got, I put up 2. Excellent. definitely happen if you believe. This is Aziza, one of our partners, and with Raw Beauty Co. And it is happening for her.
Actually, with Aziza, we're just waiting for bottles to come from China. One of those roadblocks you can run into in your maze may be a macro roadblock that you have no control over, right? So, but we're dealing with it. Bottles are going to be coming, and we're going to fill them up, and you guys are going to buy some.
Definitely. I love the product. You have to. Mary's takeaway is that there's a lot of options for funding. And, I think she's got it right. Idea Pros knows who to talk to for sure. Fred's making all the right connections for everyone, for all the partners.
Yeah, I've never worked so hard in my life, actually, to tell you the truth.
Well, we appreciate you, Fred, and we love having you do the Friday lives. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys all next Friday at noon Pacific time.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my empty office.
Go. Hey, it will
Stay
be quiet.
safe, everybody.
Stay safe. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.